Bitcoin is dumping as we speak, hitting I wouldn't say new low, but the low of $58,000. I think it was 58.3. 58K gang is back, guys. And of course, everyone is wondering now, how low will we go? Well, we have some conflicting data to explore today, and some huge entities are buying and also selling, but a $90 billion hedge fund manager said yesterday on CNBC, I think what everyone is probably thinking outside of Bitcoin. So let's watch this clip real quick. We'll chat about it, and then I'll go through all the data, explain where, or rather, what is going on right now and what we're seeing with this price action.
Bitcoin anymore.
It's not.
I don't
talk a little bit about Bitcoin. Do you still wake up and say, why am I so stupid? And wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning. Why didn't I buy more? Or
I always wake up at
3 a.m.
And I always feel stupid about something.
Yeah.
But now it's not Bitcoin anymore.
It's not.
I don't know what to think about Bitcoin anymore. The one thing I was wondering with Bitcoin is there was a time when there were very few IPOs. Part of it is I think the public markets are a little bit broken with so many index funds and stuff. Everybody thinks the same, thus nobody really wants, new IPOs. I wonder if Bitcoin was a little bit sort of the off-ramp for everybody that wants to have something a little bit more speculative.
Yeah.
Now that we have these big IPOs on one side, and then we have stablecoin on the other. And stablecoin involves the word stable. So if you really want to just put your money offshore, put your money in a new system, you can go through stablecoins. Frankly, stablecoins more or less are already paying interest. I don't think they really are, but there's schemes where you get these like rewards and stuff like that. So if you want just the stablecoin, you can. There's fabulous IPOs coming out. There's SpaceX, there's going to be some AI. And I just wonder, well, where is Bitcoin now? And the purpose of Bitcoin, and a little bit what you need to believe, is almost this maximalist view about Bitcoin. Like when I speak to people about Bitcoin, it's a bit like a cult. You're either in or you're not. So that's just my new thoughts on Bitcoin. So I'm a little bit more worried, and I would rather bet on, is space going to quadruple over the next 20 years?
Yo, crazy. Crazy.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what you want to hear. This is capitulation in 4K.
Wait, before you go, because Philip Lafont of Co2, I think it was like 4 months ago, he was like, that's where the beginning of the clip started. It's like he was saying, I'm staying up at night wondering why I've been such an idiot and haven't bought Bitcoin. So just to add to your point, we've gotten to the billionaire investors wondering about their Bitcoin thesis. So continue.
So this is what you guys have to understand about bear markets. The revolutionaries, they stay in. What he, I don't know if it was, I considered a compliment, what he calls the Bitcoin maximalist. We stay in.
Safe.
The reason we stay in is because we fundamentally understand that the money's broken. We fundamentally understand that the only asset on planet Earth that is actually going to achieve what we dream of achieving, right? Which is an alternative system that can't be censored, that can't be debased, is Bitcoin. He's bringing up stablecoins. Stablecoins have done wonders for the developing world. There's no doubt in my mind in that. And you could say that they've taken a bit of the market share away from Bitcoin, right? The original thesis was that Bitcoin was going to play that role in developing countries. But if you're living paycheck to paycheck, right, that volatility that comes with Bitcoin, which is a feature, not a bug, that's how you get the crazy euphoric runs, might not be the best for you if you're living paycheck to paycheck in developing countries, right? So he does make some good points. He also brings up the points of, look, like there's all these really exciting IPOs, whether it's the AI companies or whether it's SpaceX. And that is a good thing because this is when all the tourists leave. This is when people get disillusioned. And one of the things that worried me about the 2022, it didn't worry me, but one of the things about the 2022 bear market and the 2018 bear market was that everybody knew that Bitcoin was going to come back with a vengeance. Like it was expected. And if you look at the performance of those two cycles, we had the famous double top, right, with the China mining ban that happened in 2021. And then we had this kind of like top on apathy that just happened at the end of 2025 in October. These are the perfect conditions when everybody leaves. And this actually reminds me more of the 2013, 2014, 2015 bear market where everybody was disillusioned. That's why nobody saw the run up from $300 Bitcoin to $20,000 Bitcoin in a couple of years because everybody left. And this is what you want to see. You want to see people get disillusioned. You want to see capitulation indicators like treasury companies, having to sell their Bitcoin, treasury companies down 80, 90%, etc. You want to see this. This is a cleansing, and you need that. It's like you need that in order for Bitcoin to reach these new heights. So this is the first bull market that I've ever experienced personally that I'm getting messages from Bitcoiners that have been in the trenches with me since the 2016, 2017 era. I even got this question from my wife, right? And it was like, look, is Bitcoin done? Like, is it over? Is the Ponzi over? Is it done? And my response to that, the moment that I got asked that question, my response to that is like, I love the fact that you're asking me that question. I love the fact that you're doubting why we're here. Because what that person on Legacy Financial Media forgot to mention, and he did mention it somewhat when he called us maximalists, and I take that as a badge of honor, is why are you here? Why are you here? Why are you here? Are you here to get rich, or are you here for the mission? Because if you're here for the mission, the byproduct of you adopting sound money is that over time, everything around you is going to decrease in value as it relates to Bitcoin. If you're just here for purely number go up, who I call the tourists, this is when you get flushed out. This is when you get disillusioned. This is when you say, hey, you know what? That shiny new toy called SpaceX that has a larger market cap of Bitcoin actually looks like a much better investment. That AI, company that's going public, that looks like a much better investment. There's much more alpha there. You want that. You want that. You want that rotation out. It flushes out the tourists. And the only ones, and I'm going to use Sailor's words here, the only ones that stay. Everything good with the stream?
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking for something.
The only ones that stay are the Bitcoin fundamentalists, to use Sailor's words. And it reminds me of the movie Dune, right? Where it's like, they had the people up in the north and the people in the south. And the south were the fundamentalists, and they're like, like, those are the true Bitcoiners. Because you guys aren't here for, yes, number go up is a byproduct. Number go up is a byproduct of you adopting better money. But you're here for the revolution. You're here because you want a better life for your children and your children's children. And you're here because you fundamentally believe in your heart that you want the world to be a better place. And Bitcoin is the only asset on planet Earth that empowers the individual. Nothing else empowers the individual like Bitcoin does. The fact that you can memorize 12 words and you can cross a border and you could take all of your wealth with you. The fact that you can transact with anyone around the world, peer to peer, without asking anybody for permission is fundamentally a revolutionary, pivotal shift in human history. This is what you guys have to understand. And this is what the bear markets do. They flush out the tourists. So if you guys want to get my take on where we are on the capitulation, we're seeing it. This is fantastic. This is great news. I want more people to be uncertain. I want more people to have doubts. I want more people to, believe that, hey, this is hopeless. because those are the people that get rewarded the most, not only on the financial level, but I would even go on to say on the spiritual level as well, because you're opting out of the slavery system. You're opting out of the fiat system. And if you're buying stonks, or if you're buying, you know, whatever floats your boat, I would say the only thing that is comparatively similar would be like physical gold bars, but there's limitations there. You understand why you're here. And it's not for number go up. We all, I can admit, I would say that we came from number go up. I think we could all admit that. We came for number go up. All of us did. I would say 99% of us did. Maybe the early on, you know, 2009, 2010 Bitcoiners, maybe you could say they're a little bit different. But you came for the money, and you stayed for the revolution. And the reason you stayed for the revolution is because while holding Bitcoin through these ups and downs, you realized how superior Bitcoin is to any other money in the world. So that, to me, that clip that you played, Opti, is extremely bullish. And I want to see more of those clips. I want to see Wall Street just completely feel disillusioned about Bitcoin. I want them to leave, because ultimately it's us, the maximalists, the fundamentalists, are the ones that are going to hold the line. We're going to be the ones that are going to say, hey, you know what? 80% drawdown. We've been here before. We know what happens next. But if you are, just in case you're tuning into Simply Bitcoin today and you're saying, oh, wow, look, this is a, you know, dump, and Nico's like, you know, talking all this hopium and all this optimism. From an ROI perspective, this is the most opportune moment to start stacking sats. Because next year, when we're back above 100K in 2027, you're going to be looking back at these days. And I'm telling you this from experience. I'm telling you this from experience. You're going to be looking back at these days, and you're going to be wishing that you had the opportunity to buy Bitcoin under 60K. And potentially we go into the 40s. And you're going to be like, dude, this is amazing. And the guy called us a cult. And this is the last thing I'll say. And I take that as a compliment. The reason I take that as a compliment is because the Bitcoin community, the true Bitcoiners that actually believe in the mission, are the only crazy people on the planet that actually celebrate when the price goes down. And the reason they celebrate when the price goes down is because they're denominating their net worth in Bitcoin. They're not denominating their net worth in US dollar terms. And if you're denominating your net worth in Bitcoin, guess what? If you have some cash on the side, that cash is going to be able to buy you more Bitcoin. That's the reality of this. So I want to see more capitulation videos. I want to see, I don't wish ill on any part of the Bitcoin industry, but historically speaking,
I want to see someone blow up.
historically speaking, you know, the bear markets are hard on companies in the industry. That's a reality, right? So these are the signals that we've been waiting for. And I've been, Opti, correct me if I'm wrong here, I've been right about this since October, since I said
About what?
about the bear market of 2026 and how I thought I was going to play out. And so far I've been completely 100% accurate on this. And I predicted back in October, and I said, listen, guys, what we're going to see this bear market are treasury companies selling their Bitcoin, capitulating. You're going to see Wall Street capitulating. You want that. You need that. You need the tourists to leave and get disillusioned before that rotation of capital comes back into Bitcoin. It's like nature healing itself. It's happened so many times before in Bitcoin's history. What makes this time any different? At the end of the day, the only equation that should care to you as a Bitcoiner is infinity divided by 21 million. If governments continue to debase the currency, it is a guarantee that this thing is going to go up forever. That's my bit. Opti, you wanted energy today. I hope I brought it.
Yeah, a little different energy. Everyone's calling you General Nico Patton. A little motivational. I like it. I think actually, before I go into the rest of this, I did see a couple people in the chat saying like, this is my first, it's my first bear market. How do you guys handle it? And I think Nico probably summed it up really good there. This is just part of the process. As I said in the chat, it's just like, learn more, stack more, and most importantly, enjoy the ride. Anyways, I do want to touch on one thing before I get into what I'm seeing on chain and kind of what we can potentially view as what's happening right now. There was one part of, I think it's Philippe Lafont. I think that's how you say his name. Obviously, I don't think it's Philip Lafont. He's got the European accent there. So I think it's Philippe Lafont, who is at Coteau Management. I can't speak French, okay? Anyways, $90 billion hedge fund. Guy's a billionaire investor, so maybe you don't know who he is, but people know who he is. And I think he did sum up the general perspective of people that aren't quote-unquote part of the Bitcoin cult. Now, obviously, he's saying that in a bit of a derogatory term, but as Nico just said, and as we all believe, and as you guys in the chat know, to us, it's like, it's a badge of honor. But he said something that I found very interesting. He didn't actually say these words, but essentially what he's saying.
At least they're not calling us psychopaths anymore. We've been upgraded.
Yeah. I guess. Sure. We're still idiots. We're still Bitcoin idiots. But anyways, oops, wrong one. The biggest takeaway for me is in that clip, he's talking about everyone chasing the SpaceX IPOs, the AI IPOs that are coming around. And he was talking about this idea of Bitcoin being at least perceived as a speculative asset. But what we're seeing in the broader markets right now is it does feel like this is the highest level of speculation we've seen from TradFi at the same time with the highest level of uncertainty that we probably haven't seen, I know, in my lifetime, or at least in my adult lifetime. And I think this is why everyone is doing exactly what Nico just said. They're looking for the new shiny thing. They're looking away from Bitcoin because Bitcoin has been boring. Let's be honest, Bitcoin's been a stablecoin. We're back at 2021 highs, like 58K gang's back. I don't know how Dennis figured out that 58K was going to be the number that we're going to be dealing with for freaking 5-6 years here. Yeah, Dennis is for sure the Lisan Al-Gaib or whatever it is. But what we are seeing is the amount of speculation from retail right now. They're just, excuse me, they're playing hot potato with their capital right now. And for us, as Nico was just kind of alluding to, we're still looked at as kind of like the dumb guys because we're hodling our Bitcoin. But trust, we're going to make it out, okay? We're going to be all right. So for you new guys here, your first cycle, trust, we've done this before. It still doesn't feel good, but we know where it's going.
We don't call it paying the price of tuition for no reason, right? The volatility is a feature, not a bug. The volatility is part of Bitcoin being adopted as a global reserve currency. If you don't want volatility, buy a stable coin or put your money in dollars. But that's, I would say, a dishonest statement. And the reason that's dishonest is because I actually saw that Apple increase their prices this morning on all their products. And
I wonder why.
One thing that I appreciate about Apple is that they don't go down the whole shrinkflation route. And the whole shrinkflation concept is basically like companies try to keep the prices of their products at the same price. But in order for them to still be profitable, what they do is that the products become cheaper over time, right? And you see this, you've seen these memes all over the place, right? Like with the toilet paper rolls, it's like $19.99. It's like $19.99 for 20 toilet paper rolls, and then 5 years later, it's like $19.99. It has the same packaging, but instead of 20 toilet paper rolls, there's like 15, right? So that's what I'm talking about with shrinkflation. So when I saw the Apple product increase, like that is one of the most truest indicators of inflation there is, because Apple's not going to decrease the quality of their products. I know that you guys feel dumb. I'm sure there's some hardcore maxis in here. They're like, guys, you got to run Linux, and you guys got to run, what is it? great graphene
Yeah,
on your
graphene.
Android and stuff like that. And I totally respect you guys, but like,
Apple Maxi.
I'm a content creator. I'm a media guy. So like, I just love the Apple ecosystem, and they just don't decrease the quality of their products. So what do? They inadvertently tell the truth about inflation. They're literally telling you, it's not like Apple's like, oh, we're going to price gouge. No, it's just like the value of the dollar is decreasing. So what do they have to do? They have to increase prices. And then I saw this other tweet. I forget who it was. It was a Jason from the All In podcast. And he was like laying out all these reasons. He's like, housing is too expensive. Mortgages are too expensive. You see all this corruption from USAID. Like, yeah, no caca. Of course you're going to see all of that stuff. You want to know what the number one cause for housing being unaffordable in the United States? You know what the number one cause of that is? The government printing money. You want to know what the number one cause of wealth inequality in the United States is? The government printing money. You want to know how USAID was able to do the things that they did? Was because the government is able to print money. That's how they're able to do all of this stuff. That's how they're able to fund everything. That's how they're able to spend above their means. And then the politicians try to gaslight you, and they try to tell you, hey, you got to raise the taxes on the billionaires. It's like, are you telling me that the government is a better capital allocator than Elon Musk? They couldn't even build like that railway in California. They literally built like 1 or 2 miles. Where did the rest of that money go, bro? So like, that's all to gaslight the uninformed public. And you as a Bitcoiner, you are enlightened. You know the truth. You know what is actually going on with money. You know what the F is going on. So are you the guardian? Are you the one that's willing to step up? This isn't just a movement about an individual. It's next man up. Are you willing to step up for the cause? Are you willing to put your money on the line? Are you willing to put your future on the line for what we're fighting for? That's the question that I have for you guys, because we live in an unjust system, and that system, we're not going to be able to vote ourselves out of it. It's too well entrenched. The only way we're going to get out of this is by millions upon millions of individuals reclaiming back their financial sovereignty by buying Bitcoin, earning Bitcoin, mining Bitcoin, and putting that Bitcoin into self-custody. And then eventually, when you get comfortable enough, you start running your own version of the Bitcoin software so that you can verify your own transactions, aka running a node. That's really all it is. Because if enough of us do it, we win, and there's absolutely nothing they could do about it. That's the beauty of a peer-to-peer protocol. That's the beauty of Bitcoin. If Bitcoin could have been shut down by now, it would have. And I know people perhaps have been disillusioned about this cycle because, again, it was a cycle that we never got this euphoric blow off top, and I understand, and like the suit people came in and all that stuff. Guys, I wouldn't be upset about the suit coiner. I wouldn't be upset about the suit people coming in. I wouldn't be upset about Wall Street coming in. It was an inevitability. Imagine when nation states start coming in. It's an inevitability that this is going to happen. Like, you already see this in the geopolitics playing out when you see, a big portion of the hash rate in Russia, a big portion of the hash rate in China, a big portion of the hash rate in Iran. You saw this when Iran was like, hey, we're going to take tolls in Bitcoin. We're not going to take tolls in US dollars. We're going to take tolls in Bitcoin. So the more one country fights Bitcoin, the bigger the incentive for another country to say, hey, Bitcoiners, you can come here, right? And ultimately, my money is on incentives winning the day. My money is not on coercion. And fundamentally, the fiat system and the continuation of that, which is the central bank digital currency system that they're trying to roll out, requires coercion for it to function, because it's a system fundamentally based on theft. Inflation is theft. Inflation is taxation without representation. And Bitcoin is the only asset. There's no other asset except maybe physical gold that is going to allow you to reclaim back your financial system and get out of that nihilistic slavery system, because that's inherently what it is. So bear markets are for building. Bear markets are for forging friendships you'll never forget. You'll always remember the people that stuck with you through the in the trenches in these dark times, if you see it as that. And if you're class of 2025, welcome to the ride. You're paying your price of tuition. You're earning your stripes. And a couple years from now, you're going to be like, I get it now.
Yeah. Maybe the real win was the friends we made along the way. Oh man. All right, Nico. Great motivational talk here as we dip, but let's give you an update on what we saw happen this morning. All right. So, oh wait, wrong one. That's not the one. Where's mine? Where's mine at?
Lisan al-Gaib.
All right, wait, wrong one. Nico. All right, here we go.
Can we keep them on stream?
No. Well, I guess whatever. Wait, dude. There you go. Okay. So this morning we saw 330 million of longs liquidated in about an hour. And that's what brought us down to 58K. I think it was the number I saw was 58.3. Fresh new low here. We'll see what happens at the end of the day. I remember Down Under Blues yesterday was basically like Opti, we're under 60K. Well, we did get back up to 60K. We're at 59K yesterday during the show. The price did rebound to, I think it was like 61. Obviously, this morning, we're seeing a little more pressure here. And we'll see what happens by the end of the day. What I am seeing here, though, obviously, besides just like the big shout out to 58K gang, is it does seem like the market makers are trying to sweep the liquidity right now in that high 50K area. And it's obviously proving really hard here. Like you would expect if there was a lot less buying happening right now if the bears were truly in control right now, that breaking that 60K line, we would get down to like the low 50s, but we haven't seen that yet. So we are seeing a very, obviously, we're a little under 60K, but we are seeing very strong support around that 50-month moving average, that 200-week moving average. Even though we are a little bit below the 200-week moving average, historically, we don't stay down there that long. So that's just very interesting overall, what we're seeing, the general kind of strength of this. I'm going to just round it up to support around 60. Yes, we're at 58K, but we'll see what happens towards the end of the day. But what is interesting is who's buying right now. And it's really a culmination of what we've been saying for a while. Retail is getting cooked right now, guys. The retail Bitcoin investors are absolutely getting cooked. The newer Bitcoiners in the space, I think I was trying to find it while Nico was going. I think I saw the number that the 1 to 3 month investor in Bitcoin is like completely selling out. And it's the long-term holders. It's the whales that are acquiring Bitcoin. So here's this: whales absorbing all of the Bitcoin sell orders from retail investors. The Bitcoin inflow to the accumulation addresses has reached a new all-time high. So who's buying the Bitcoin? It's exactly what Nico was saying earlier. The people with high conviction, the true believers in Bitcoin, the quote Bitcoin cult members. And then, of course, I've been showing you the data. The whales are the ones that are scooping up Bitcoin. We've seen them go from selling to acquiring. And I don't think I brought this up yesterday, but Bitfinex tweeted this: the long-term Bitcoin holders sold into the 2024 ETF rally, and now they're doing the opposite. So they're buying into this dip right now. Their supply just hit a record 83% of circulating supply, and it's climbing fastest as price falls right now. So if you're in the market and you're being panicked right now because we're getting, a new fresh low at 58K, do not sell out right now. This is literally the plan. This is what Nico and I have been talking about since October, that they're going to basically try to scare you out of the market. They're going to put so much pain in your psyche that you're literally the only move you feel like you can do is sell. And I saw this clip. I was going to put it on the show today, but I really don't know who he is. I guess he's some big YouTube tech guy. And he did this video yesterday.
Yeah, he's like, I
sold out. I levered too much. I sold out.
This is exactly what you want. I can't emphasize that enough, guys. Like I've seen.
Wait. Before you go, let me do this last chart. And that's literally exactly what Nico's saying. Like, we're starting to see the capitulation happen. But again, all of the selling volume from retail is getting absorbed by the whales right now. So if you are feeling that psychological pain right now, if you are thinking about selling your stack and just going to the SpaceX IPO or waiting for the Anthropic IPO coming up, like, you're literally falling into the hands of the market makers right now, because The whales are absorbing all of the coin right now, guys. Like, they are the ones that are buying the Bitcoin. This is literally by design right now. The capitulation, or at least the forceful dips that we're seeing, it is literally designed to make you feel as if you need to sell your coin. And we're seeing signs of this all over the place, whether it's from billionaires on CNBC, whether it's from tech YouTube Bitcoin investors that just got in the last few years. Like, this is when your conviction is tried. And so the new guys in the chat, the new Bitcoin holders that maybe bought the 2025 top or got it in 2024, and they're like, damn, we're back to 2021 prices. Like, this is when the real Bitcoiners are built. So do not sell out right now. It does look as if maybe the market makers are trying to do one final push. And we've seen that 60K area get touched 3 times. So if it doesn't break down lower than where we currently are, something Nico did say, I will give him credit. You know, if we range between 60 and this 80K range right now, like we can probably say that we're not going to go that much lower. But this is by design. I would say this is completely by design to shake you out of your position. So do not fall for the trap.
Dude, it's
End of rant.
It's the 4-year, amen to that. It's the 4-year cycle. Someone posted this. There will be signs. I just want to share it on screen. Let me know if you guys could hear the audio.
Is it muted?
When I started buying, I think Bitcoin has lost the plot. And when I started buying Bitcoin, and I've sold all of it.
I bought the dip, and how I can't keep buying the dip. I have no money left to buy the dip. The dip, great. What do I buy the dip? Well, what am I going to pay for the dip? If I keep buying the dip, it keeps dipping. You got no money to buy the dip. You're out of dip.
This is the most bearish thing. I have zero desire. So last night I sold my Bitcoin. I sold my Bitcoin yesterday. I was holding a good amount of coins. I'm completely out of Bitcoin. 100% out of Bitcoin.
I sold all my Bitcoin, and I suffered absolutely massive financial losses.
Well, it's unwinding all of crypto. We're seeing Bitcoin collapse below $60,000 again. The fact that Michael Saylor is allowed to walk around free right now is absolutely criminal. Somebody needs to arrest him. If I see this guy, I'm going to perform a citizen's arrest and lock this guy up.
Yo, everyone yells at me for yelling. At least I don't sound like Crypto Nick over there.
So this is what you want to see. This is what you want to see. This is capitulation, ladies and gentlemen. Does this mean that we can't go lower? Of course we can go lower, but we're nearing the bottom is what I'm trying to say. Could we go into the low 50s, 40s? Absolutely, 100%. But this is what you want to see, because this is what you've seen. I've seen this movie play out 2 times before. And this is exactly what you saw. The only fundamental difference this time, the only difference, and I would say this is incredibly bullish for the next cycle, is unlike 2022 and unlike 2018, I've never seen disillusionment to this level, specifically coming from the fundamentalists and the maximalists. And as Opti pointed out, you're selling it to whales.
Literally, you're selling it to Wall Street and the whales.
You're literally selling it to whales, right? So, pay attention to the signal, not the noise. Bunker down, remind yourself why you're here, and it's going to make your life a lot easier. That was a fantastic intro. All right, everybody, we're going to be right back. It's going to be a fantastic show. We have tons to cover on today's Simply Bitcoin Live. You guys are going to want to stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. We're going to be right back in just a little bit.
Here's the part that nobody says out loud. Buying Bitcoin on an exchange and leaving it there isn't buying Bitcoin. It's buying an IOU. And the last decade has been a masterclass in what happens when those exchanges don't deliver on their promises.
Bitcoin Well is a self-custody Bitcoin platform. That means that when you buy Bitcoin, it goes straight to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet. You actually own it from the very first transaction. They're available both in the United States and Canada. Pricing is transparent. transparent, straightforward, and no nonsense. And if you're buying a larger amount of Bitcoin, Bitcoin Well Infinite gives you concierge level support through a dedicated executive Bitcoin advisor, premium help for when it actually matters.
You can also stack a little extra through the referral and wishing well rewards. A nice bonus on top of the owning your own Bitcoin thing. So go to bitcoinwell.com/simply and sign up for the Bitcoin Well portal today and buy Bitcoin you actually own. Paper burns, paper floods, paper fades. If your seed phrase is written on paper, it's not really backed up. It's waiting to disappear. Stampseed's DIY kit lets you hammer your seed words directly into commercial grade titanium. Fireproof, crush-proof, waterproof, and permanent. Once your words are in the metal, they aren't going anywhere. Use code SIMPLY at stampseed.com for 15% off anything in the store. That's stampseed.com, code SIMPLY. All right, guys, before I move on, I do want to plug the Rumble wallet. Guys, you know us. We love freedom money, and we also love freedom of speech. And if you go download the Rumble wallet today, go to wallet.rumble.com/simply, and they are giving away $10 to you guys right now just for trying the Rumble wallet. Again, the code is simply10, and you can use this as a standalone self-custody Bitcoin wallet, or you know, just to pay.
And it's completely non-custodial.
Exactly. Or, you know, what we would love is supporting your favorite content creators using the Rumble wallet. Shouts out to the Rumble crew out there that hangs out with us every single day. But go try it, and they're literally giving you money just to try the wallet. So can't really go wrong, all right? Give it a go. Go to, again, wallet.rumble.com/simply and use the promo code simply10. I believe it's all caps, and they're going to give you some free cash right now. Okay, go, Nico.
Boom. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is $59,450. Block height, 955,363. Market cap, 1.19 trillion. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 3.96%. Ladies and gentlemen, once the Bitcoin market cap reaches a part of the market cap of gold, that's $1.5 million per Bitcoin. I think it could be a little bit less now because the gold has took a dump as well. But anyways, going back to the original theme that we were discussing in the beginning of the show, it's not just us saying this. It's not just us making the case that, hey, listen, Wall Street is getting completely distracted with, I think, in my opinion, these overvalued IPOs, where the insiders are the ones that really made the fortune, the people that got in before it went public, the early investors. The same thing applies to the AI IPOs that I'm sure are up and coming. The fact that the SpaceX IPO, the SpaceX market cap is larger than the market cap of Bitcoin, I mean, that should tell you everything you need to know in terms of where the opportunities lie. And it's not just us thinking this. We have OG Adam Back, who was literally cited in the Bitcoin white paper, saying the same thing as well. Let's check out the clip.
Once they take a profit on something. So, we'll see how the AI IPOs go later into the year. And that could end up being a bit of exuberance, right? And cool that sector and bring the capital back as well. You can see that SpaceX cooled a little, so coming up a bit today, but it's down from its highs as well. So, and people don't immediately have access to liquidity that's released into the market stages with a large instrument like SpaceX. So I think you get some of that cycling back in as well.
So Adam has a very, a very tempered way of saying things, right? And he's saying exactly what we're saying, right? I think there is exuberance, right? There is exuberance in these other things. Michael Saylor has been talking about this as well. And eventually, when you see exuberance, you do see some type of blow off top. And what happens? Where does the capital rotate into? And of course, the obvious answer is Bitcoin, in my opinion. Now, I did want to show this just to kind of reemphasize my point. If you take a look at the price of Bitcoin versus the NASDAQ and the S&P 500, it tells you everything you need to know, right? So the S&P is up. The NASDAQ is up. NASDAQ specifically is up 68% year to date. And Bitcoin is down 29%. So this is a signal for two reasons. The reason number one is the NASDAQ and Bitcoin were heavily correlated in this previous cycle. And I suspect that had to do a lot with Wall Street getting involved, right? This is the first cycle that we had an all-time high before the halving. This was the first cycle that there was the launch of the spot Bitcoin ETF by BlackRock. So again, if you're paying attention, you're like, dude, this is a discount. But that only applies if you truly believe in Bitcoin's mission, which was enshrined in the Genesis block when Satoshi said, "Chance are on the brink of the second bailout for banks." If you truly believe in the mission, if you truly believe in what we're fighting for, then you're not going to react like Dave Portnoy. You're not going to react like Mark Cuban. You're not going to react like the first guy. Because all of those people have one thing in common. They all came up for number go up. They didn't come for the revolution. If you stayed for the revolution, if you're here for the revolution, then this is an opportunity for you. If you're here for number go up, then you're looking at the shiny new toy that you can buy. That's the reality. And historically speaking, these moments truly only come up every 4 years or so. And I saw someone trying to troll me on the 4-year cycle bit earlier in the YouTube chat. Guys, out of all the theories, the 4-year cycle is the only thing that hasn't broken. Like, that's the reality. The 4-year cycle is the only thing that hasn't broken this cycle. And the 4-year cycle is completely intact. And if the 4-year cycle stays intact, the bottom should be Q3 and Q4 of this year. Now, where's the price going to be? Nobody knows. It could be in the 40s, it could be in the 50s. We shall wait and see. But that, again, is your opportunity as a revolutionary. If you're here as an investor, you've probably already sold. You've probably already been disillusioned. You're probably like, all right, pack it up. This is over. It's done. You're probably, venting your frustrations to Michael Saylor as if Michael Saylor somehow is responsible for the price of Bitcoin going down. Remember why we're here. It's not about Wall Street. It's not about central banks. It's about your individual freedom. It's about you reclaiming back your sovereignty via Bitcoin. And if you wholeheartedly believe in that mission, then these are opportunities and you should see it as such. And I promise you, you can go back to this. Today is June 25th, 2026. You can go back to this stream in 2027 and 2028. And you're going to remember exactly. You're going to be like, wow, I remember hearing that. And it's very difficult the first cycle. The first cycle is really when your conviction gets tested.
That's the funnest one.
The first cycle is when your conviction gets tested. Opti and I were in a little bit of a different situation because we had no choice. So we bunkered down.
It was literally do or die for us at that point.
Right. So, it's a little bit different now because there's shiny new other toys, right? That people are paying attention to. This is why I keep bringing back the 2013, 2014, 2015 bear market. Because that bear market was atrocious. And the reason it was atrocious was because the only Bitcoin exchange, to my knowledge, Mt. Gox, literally blew up. It got hacked. There was a bank run. They couldn't, give people the Bitcoin. Then it went into bankruptcy. But if you doubled down, if you started a Bitcoin business or you started buying Bitcoin in those moments of despair and disillusionment, which is what I see this cycle, by 2017, you were completely vindicated. You look like an absolute genius. Even if you didn't buy in 2013, 2014, 2015, I wish I did. But even if you didn't, even if you bought in the beginning of 2017, The price of Bitcoin the beginning of 2017 was $1,000. By December, it was $20,000, right? So I think that this bear market is one of the hardest I've experienced personally, and I think it's one of the hardest that the community has experienced. And I think the reasons for that are, number one, this was a cycle that we topped on apathy. So it's like as if we waited for 4 years and we never got the party, or we got a little, tidbit of the party, but we never got the full party, right? So I think that expectation of that euphoria never came, therefore people got let down. And then the other bit that I'll say is, because of that, this disillusionment has crept in, right? It's like, oh man, like I've been at this for 10 years. I'm tired. Like, I want to go home, mom. Like, I'm tired, boss. Like, when's this thing going to happen? You're waiting 4 years and it never came. Again, I see an opportunity. I don't see the despair. I don't see the disbelief, because I remember. And if you don't learn the lessons from the past, you're destined to repeat them, So I want to see more despair. I want to see more disillusionment. I want to see more of these mainstream people basically say, listen, pack it up. Bitcoin's dead. Bitcoin's done. I want to see more of that, because that tells me that we truly are hitting bottom. That truly tells me that, hey, pack it up, party's over. That's what it tells me. Anyways, we got some very special guests joining us on the show. We're going to be right back just after the break, and we'll see you guys in just a little bit. I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technologies. Fueled by clean energy across 3 continents, HIVE runs dual engines, Bitcoin mining and AI compute. Their AI platform is ranked #1 in the world for network performance, and it's doing something bigger than compute. It's accelerating human discovery, the science, the breakthroughs, pushing humanity further and faster. Listed on the NASDAQ with the ticker HIVE. Catch the latest buzz at HIVE Digital Tech on X or HIVEdigitaltech.com.
Sovereignty isn't just about your money. It's about your communications too. When the grid goes down, cell towers can fail. Hurricanes, cyber attacks, blackouts, most people go dark. Satellite phones don't rely on local infrastructure. With Iridium, 77 satellites in orbit, you can stay connected across the U.S., even offshore. If you hold your own Bitcoin keys, you should hold your own comms too. Sat123 also has Starlink, battery backups, Faraday bags for your hardware wallets, and everything you need to build your own off-grid Bitcoin citadel. Go to sat123.com/simply and use promo code SIMPLY for 15% off anything in the store.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin. Here's something most Bitcoin holders never figure out until it's too late. You're sitting on wealth you can't touch without selling. Ledin fixes that. Bitcoin-backed loans. You keep your stack, you get cash. And they just introduced their lowest rates ever. No complexity, no fine print. The larger the loan, the lower the rate. These new rates apply to all new loans, refinances, and renewals. You'll see all the rates up front before you apply. The new, lower rates come with Ledin's gold standard protection. Your Bitcoin remains custodied and is never lent out for interest. Perfect 8-year track record of keeping clients' assets safe. Auto top-ups, LTV alerts, and partial repayments to keep you in control. Repay whenever you want with 0 penalties or monthly payments. Ledin's perfect $10 billion track record through every market cycle in the last 8 years speaks for itself. Don't choose between a great rate and the safety of your Bitcoin. Get both at Ledin. If you ever thought, what happens to my Bitcoin if something happens to me? Or what happens if I lose my phone? You're not alone. For a lot of people, the biggest barrier to self-custody isn't buying Bitcoin. It's the fear of making a mistake. And that's why I like Bitkey and I recommend it to my friends and family. Bitkey is a Bitcoin wallet built for real life, not just for day one, but for everything that happens in between. Lost devices, upgrades, accidents, and long-term ownership. There's no seed phrase to write down and worry about losing. time, and no single point of failure that can lock you out of your Bitcoin forever. What really stands out about BitKey is the peace of mind. Recovery is built in, inheritance is built in. It's a complete self-custody system built by the team behind Square and Cash App, designed to make holding your own Bitcoin simpler and safer. Take self-custody of your Bitcoin today using BitKey. Go to bitkey.world and use promo code SIMPLY for 10% off your new BitKey. That's bitkey.world, promo code SIMPLY. All right, we are back, and we got two gentlemen. I don't know why. There we go. Appreciate that, Opti. So, gentlemen, could you introduce yourselves, and I'll give a little bit of context.
Sure. I'm Tim Niemeyer. I'm president of the Illinois Bitcoin Council. Jeff?
My name is Jeff Hilsbeck. I'm the VP of the Illinois Bitcoin Council.
Appreciate it. Guys, first of all, thank you guys so much for coming on the show today. Some big news coming out of Illinois. And again, you guys know my thesis on this. My thesis is basically they just don't want people using a non-sovereign alternative, right? And the best way to do that is to de-incentivize people to use it by implementing a tax. But again, that's my perspective, and we have these two gentlemen that, of course, this is their expertise. This is what they focus on. But to give you guys a little bit of context to tee it up for them, Illinois will tax crypto transfers at 0.2% starting in 2027. And this includes, by the way, peer-to-peer transactions as well. So, gentlemen, just wanted to tee it up, give everybody, a little bit of context who's watching the show. We have covered this news earlier on, but I know that this is what you guys focus on over there. So what's going on in Illinois? What is the motivation behind this tax? I know I have my theories. What's going on?
Well, thanks, Nico, for having us on. As far as the internal motivation of the legislators that put this forth, we could speculate all day. I'm sympathetic to your stance as well. And, I guess you could say shortly, like a sin tax of sorts. Regardless, it's what we found out is it was forced through. It's seemingly unconstitutional, not to mention full of technical, legal, financial, and otherwise, errors, inconsistencies. So that 0.2% tax is on every transaction. And they say it's paid by the broker, not the individual. But as we know, most taxes like that, they have that pass-through effect. So our individuals will be seeing that as well.
And what's your take?
For me, I think there's also some political motivation as well.
Yes.
Governor Pritzker he is bidding for a presidential run, so I think this is one way to separate himself from Trump and pro-Bitcoin policies. So this kind of differentiate himself from the rest of the pack. So there's a lot to be said. Just to caveat this, I was gone camping for the last 2 weeks, and I was deep in the woods, and I had very little cell phone connection. And I got home just yesterday, and I was quite surprised at how much had changed in the last 12 days. I was shocked, like, what is going on?
So what can the people of Illinois do to stop this? Is this already enshrined? Is this set in stone? Could people visit illinoisbitcoincouncil.org? Like, what is the call to action here? Because ultimately, we don't want to just report the news. We've been talking about the mission, right? The mission of Bitcoin, reclaiming back your financial sovereignty. Is this something that people are just going to sit on their hands and say, hey, you know what? It is what it is. Maybe I should check out Florida. Actually, don't check out Florida. Go to Texas instead.
Right.
We got enough people here.
Yeah, it's a don't move out of Illinois. We gotta fight for our home, right? The initial reaction was obviously it's unconstitutional. There's all these errors. Let's litigate it. That was the initial reaction, which I'm sympathetic to as well. After a while, we realized, hold on, the language isn't even written yet. So the Department of Revenue is going to be the ones writing. The Illinois Department of Revenue is going to be the ones writing the guidelines, and that might not even happen till late fall, right? So even if litigation were to come forth now, what are you litigating? There's no actual teeth to this yet.
Wait, hold on. You kind of buried the lead there, Tim.
Sorry.
Are you saying that they passed this and there's no wording for it?
We needed to pass the bill to see what's inside it, I think is the quote.
That does not, and I'm a first generation American, but that sounds very un-American.
Yeah, I hate to be like it is what it is, and I'm with you, but it's like it's to me right now. I'm like kind of nose to the grindstone. I'm past that point. It's like, well, that's politics, right? You can't turn the clock back, and this is business as usual, unfortunately.
That seems like a strategy to me. That seems like a very well conceived strategy, and it kind of. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and it's one of those things that strategically, if we widen the net, as much as we can, then when we go to actually write the language, we can, rein it back. It's like my kids when they were growing up. Do you guys want 17 bytes or you want 5? Knowing I want them to have 5 bytes, right? And then they're like, oh, I only have 5 bytes. That's cool. It's kind of overshooting and then allowing yourself some pullback and being like, look, we're collaborating or whatever.
But how did this pass how did this pass the legislative process without the details being enshrined?
Okay,
like that to me is like very
that was the last day last night. So we focus on education, advocacy, collaboration. Back in February, we had a workshop for Illinois House Republicans. We were pushing 2 pieces of legislation. We were pushing the Digital Asset Investment Act to allow municipalities to invest up to 5%, not forced to, just option, because that's not allowable, Bitcoin or Bitcoin related strategy or whatever. We were also pushing for the Alt Guild Bitcoin Reserve, the Community Bitcoin Reserve Act, the first community in the nation recognized trying to build their own on the south side of Chicago, which is one of the more rougher areas of town, one of the more lower socioeconomic status, So we were in and talking to a lot of politicians and nobody mentioned a thing. And a lot of the connections that we have inside the legislature, they didn't know anything. The very next day they were very WTF, if you will.
This reminds me a lot of the enforcement via what was it? How do you say it, Opti? I forget.
I think it was enforcement by wow, I'm blanking. Let me look it up. I always blank on it.
So the reason I'm bringing that up is twofold, right? Like it seems like Bitcoin is still a partisan issue, which like we did not want to happen as a community because then the pendulum swings and then all of a sudden we find ourselves in operation.
Sorry, Nico, it was regulation by enforcement.
Regulation by enforcement that we saw under the previous administration, and how hard they went against the Bitcoin / crypto industry. And it kind of reminds me when you're telling me like, look, this was kind of like in the dead of night. No one really kind of knew anything. It kind of like it reminds me of very similar tactics that were used with the previous administration, because I think Elizabeth Warren ran on building this anti-crypto army. And I just think like I would make a very strong case that them taking that stance could have potentially cost them the election, because if you look at the demographics of the country, specifically the younger generations, they feel very positive about Bitcoin and, altcoins if you choose to do that. So like, how is this even politically viable? And I was just doing a little bit of research in the back end.
Yeah.
It seems like the Democrats do have control of the House and the Senate and the governorship in Illinois. So this is like, even with a lost election, it seems like they're just doubling down on this anti-crypto stance, which is very, very unfortunate.
There's a lot in there. And if you look at Illinois as a map, it's geographically predominantly red, and Chicago, obviously, population is blue. But yes,
carries the weight.
Yeah, it's completely 100% blue, and it has been for a very, very long time. There's a few other things in there that I wanted to touch on, but kind of blanking.
It seems like they gerrymandered
Yeah,
a little bit.
There's a little bit of that. Well, I've been trying to do my own research because, I'm having calls. I've already got a few calls set up with legislators, Democrats and the like. And I'm looking for actual numbers in Illinois. It'd be nice to even have, like, respecting privacy, have zip code of Bitcoin and, like you said, if altcoin or whatever, users in the state of Illinois to let them know how many people, right, they are affecting. I heard one estimate. I think Brian Armstrong tweeted 1.3 or 1.2 or 1.3 million users just of Coinbase in Illinois. Strikes somewhere in the tens of thousands. I've reached out to Swan, reached out to River, Kraken, and anybody who has any, privacy respecting information. I would be interested to find that out, so we can take that to the legislators and say, hey, look, this is how many people, potential voters, you're affecting.
What do you think is the motivation? I have my thesis, right? And I want to get Jeff's opinion on this, because I feel like you were a little bit more comfortable getting into the political opinion discussion. What do you think the motivation is behind this?
I think there's, like I said, I'm just getting caught up to speed, from being in the woods for the last 2 weeks. But it does seem like, one, that the state does have funding issues, and whenever the Illinois has been broke, they've always increased the taxes, which always drives out more individuals and businesses that want to leave the state. So I think that's one aspect. I think they do see that as a way of generating new revenue for the state. I think it's just an anti-crypto stance that the Democrats have gone down, and this is the path that they've chosen. And it's just whatever the Republicans do, because the Republicans seem to be very pro crypto, and they're just going to do the complete opposite. So it might be a little bit of Trump derangement syndrome.
You don't think there's?
I've kind of gotten out of politics. I don't get into the politics very much. I used to when I was younger, but that's one thing that Bitcoin has kind of taught me, is like I've kind of gotten away from the whole political arena.
I get that, and I agree with that. But I think what the Trump election showed specifically was that politics do have consequences. If it wasn't for Trump getting elected, Ross Ulbricht would still be in prison today, right?
Correct.
So, it's like us Bitcoiners, we do have the ability to opt out, because we have the ability to just, say, hey, look, I'm just gonna take my money with me if this jurisdiction becomes too unfavorable. And it does give you that type of power. But as you were mentioning earlier, Tim, right, it's like, this is my home, right? Like, if I'm not going to just stand up and fight, essentially, like, what's the point? Are we just going to keep being nomads and just keep moving around, right? So there is an element of when is enough, right? And I think just as Bitcoiners, we have enough influence and we have enough people that care, that we actually make a big voting block that is extremely bipartisan. It's not partisan at all, I would say. The Bitcoin / altcoin holders of this country, I would say that they're on the right and they're on the left. I don't think that the majority of Bitcoin owners are Republicans. That's even weird to say that, right? So like, if what I'm seeing, Jeff, is like, this really isn't a government that's representing the people.
No, it's not.
And when we reach out,
for sure it's not.
We started the IBC just over a year ago, and our first thing was to reach out to all the legislators, senators, representatives, let them know who we are, and part of our pitch was Bitcoin is for everyone, and I don't think they all believe that, regardless, if we tell them, because it has become so partisan, and it's it's a pawn in the political game. But you're right. I don't think they realize how nonpartisan it is and how much we can move. Now, maybe not physically move myself, you know, I'm here for the long haul, but it is a possibility. And there, you mentioned how it was a cause and effect with the crypto army and everything, right? But I think this has an equal effect. We don't know what it will look like and we don't know how long it will take, but voters remember, right? Or you would hope. There's going to be a reaction to this. And, you know, we're kind of creating some action ourselves here. We've got a number of steps that we're working towards, and mostly education and advocacy right now, helping individuals know why it's wrong. Like you said, that politicians are playing games with us. We're kind of in the middle of this. And Trump, the whole Trump thing, it's like everybody I talk to that doesn't know anything about Bitcoin, it's like, oh, you like Trump? And it's like, personally, I didn't vote for him. You know, I'm libertarian as they come. But that's just the mindset of it.
Yeah. It is a little bit of like, go ahead.
I was going to say, in a silver lining, this bill and this new law has actually highlighted some issues, and I think, you know, for Illinois, it's going to help us as an organization, and I think it's going to help the industry as a whole to realize that, you know, we do have to get into the political arena as a bunch of Bitcoiners, and we do have to pay attention to what the politicians are doing behind closed doors and passing these laws at the 11th hour. So I think this is kind of a wake up call that, you know, if states are going to start taxing every single transaction, how they're going to enforce it is a good question. What the rules are, you know, that's to be determined. But, you know, we do need to pay attention to this.
100%.
As a collective organization, like as a collective group of Bitcoiners. So
100%. I 100% agree with that. And one thing I'll add as well is, what is the action item here, right? Because we're reporting on what's happening, right? But we are, you know, a big portion of the country. And by the way, this doesn't, and we have a lot of international viewers. This doesn't just apply to the United States, right? This applies to your locality, your jurisdiction. What can people do to get involved? Because I think a lot of people just have completely lost hope, and they're just like, you know what, like, this is what it is, you know, so be it. Like, what can people do? What is the call to action here?
There's a number of things. Thank you. Obviously, first thing, follow ILBTC Council on socials. If you're willing to donate or become a member, you know, IllinoisBitcoinCouncil.org. But in the short to medium term, our action item is, one, we're reaching out to different organizations who are also affected and trying to coalition build, like not step on each other's toes, help each other out, find synergies somewhere in there. You know what I'm saying? We're also, like myself personally, I'm an educator by day, right? So my focus is like, well, if people were informed, they make better, the more informed you are, the better decisions you can make, right? And there's very little information going here. So we are doing a weekly newsletter, a weekly Substack. We are following up with our members, giving them, you know, specifically what to say. And here are your legislators, that kind of call to action, so that they're hearing this weekly. And we are waiting also for the Department of Revenue to open up their comments. So this gives us a little bit of a good faith, kind of like, yeah, you did what you did. For this point forward, we're going to educate the public. We're going to educate legislators. And we are going to put forth the best effort to help you understand what's up, to help you understand why it's wrong. Then Tim, we're also, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, even you've had more reach with the senators and the representatives, and from your experience, if you want to talk about it, but it's like, it seems like you can't really pass legislation if you truly don't understand what, like, the technology that Bitcoin is, and too many of them just don't understand it, so they have all these misconceptions of what it is. And I think that's
Crossing
why
state
we're
lines,
getting
that kind
bad,
of thing.
yeah, we are getting bad legislation because they just do not understand it.
Yeah, I had somebody, I was on a call today that was asking about like, well, how do they tax it crossing state lines? And, you know, I'm like over here like, well, my node's here. Somebody else got a node halfway around the world. Are they all transact? It's like, I'm not carrying the Bitcoin. It's just the
that's the slippery slope, right? Is that they built the system on enforcement via intermediaries, and because Bitcoin is peer to peer, if you no longer have those intermediaries to enforce those laws, like, you know, like, how do you enforce it? And then this is where I believe, and I just remember exactly what happened with the Biden administration and how hell-bent Elizabeth Warren is on rolling out a CBDC. I believe that what they're trying to do is they're trying to set a precedent. I think, you know, just based on the tactics that you're telling me that they used, taking advantage of uninformed voters, of the uninformed population. And I ultimately, what I truly believe this is about is, I don't think it has anything to do with, you know, taxing the billionaires or taxing the crypto transactions. I think this has to do with the fact that they just don't want people to use a currency that is outside of the system.
So here's a slippery slope for you. What if, and I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on, what if this is a precursor, a dry run, if you will, for a federal version? And what if it's not just crypto? What if they start trying to put taxes on any transactions, whether it's stocks, bonds, whatever, right? So that, I mean, that's way down the road, but they're opening that door. It's that regulatory creep.
100%. I 100% agree with that. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much.
Wait, I want to add something. Did I see it correctly that there was going to be like a counter bill to fight this?
There is.
Yeah. Okay. Could
And
you
I got
talk
it right
about that
here,
maybe?
if you may. Representative John Cabello, he put forth just a few days ago, 3 days ago, House Bill 5798, which is the Digital Asset Tax Act repeal. You mentioned like action items. If I could just wrap up, we're also we've been talking to like Ilya Rector, you know, Megawatt CEO, who's in Indiana, talking to him, trying to gather all the different state digital bill of rights and polling our members to see what's the most important that they want. And we'll be putting forth our own digital bill of rights in Illinois sometime, hopefully in the fall. And then we mentioned litigation in January 1st. If none of this, you know, if it's still exactly as it is on January 1st when it goes into law, then you'll probably see some kind of litigation.
And this representative is a Republican, I'm assuming?
Yeah, he's actually, John Cabello is a champion of Bitcoin in Illinois. He put forth a strategic Bitcoin reserve a year or two ago.
Yeah, it's about a year ago.
He's been supportive of the Alt-Geld Bitcoin Reserve and Tobias Shepard there. So yeah, shout out to Rep. Cabello.
Yeah, it seems like this is unfortunately this is becoming a partisan thing, right? So yeah, I mean, look, ultimately I'm a single issue voter. I'm assuming you guys are as well. Because ultimately, if you fix the money, a lot of the other symptoms that we see in society, I think, will be fixed as well. That's my philosophy and thoughts behind it.
Somebody wise once said Bitcoin or slavery. I don't know.
I don't know about wise, but you know,
I mean, I'm gonna go. I mean, the midterms are coming up, so might as well just get spicy. Like I'm gonna continue voting Repub, because I just don't see a changing of the guard on the Democratic side. I don't really care about all the other stuff. And if you're tuning into the show for political opinions, you're on the wrong show. But like just purely from like a Bitcoiner's perspective, I'm going to vote for my bag. Right. So, you know, I'm going to continue voting Republican because clearly the Republicans have taken a positive stance towards the industry, and clearly the election that Trump won and the fact that Republicans took the House and the Senate did not change anything on the Democratic side. So, and again, this isn't monolithic. I want to preface that. There are like Rokana. I know him and Elon are going back and forth, but put that aside. I know Rokana, had a positive stance. So we don't want this to be a partisan issue, but unfortunately, this just gives me another data point where I'm like, okay, guys, if this guy's seriously considering running for president, that he's going to use one of this as his talking points, right? So it's like, damn, man. Anyways, guys, if you want to support these fine gentlemen that are fighting the good fight in the great state of Illinois, not as great as Florida, but the great state of Illinois, go to IllinoisBitcoinCouncil.org and support Tim and Jeff on their noble mission to stop this unconstitutional taxation without representation. I was looking at the numbers too, guys. Illinois, it's not like California, like 40% or like 45% of the population are Republicans, right? So it's not even like this crazy shift. It's like a big portion of the state isn't properly being represented. That's the way that I'm seeing it, right?
Right.
So support these fine gentlemen, Tim and Jeff. Go to IllinoisBitcoinCouncil.org. Follow them on the socials. And gentlemen, thank you guys so much for joining us on the show today. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. We do appreciate it and appreciate the support. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. All right, everybody, that was the show for today. Before we wrap up, I do want to give a very special shout out to our Bitcoin mining conference sponsor, Mining Disrupt 2026. It's coming up. I don't have to get on a flight, thank God. July 21st through the 23rd in Miami, Florida. Again, Mining Disrupt. It is the largest Bitcoin mining conference in the world. The whole Simply Bitcoin team is going to be there. You're not going to want to miss Mining Disrupt. Use promo code Simply Bitcoin. Again, Simply Bitcoin to get 20% off your tickets to Mining Disrupt 2026. We hope to see you guys there in Miami. If you're trying to get a job in the industry, if you're trying to get into Bitcoin mining, this is the conference to go to. Mining Disrupt in Miami, Florida. Again, July 21st through the 23rd. I'm going to be on stage. We're going to have a booth. We're going to be streaming it. It's going to be fantastic. Hope to see you guys there. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys like today's show, smash the like button. Consider subscribing. Bitcoin or slavery, and we'll see you tomorrow on Simply Bitcoin Live.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.